Willy bum. Don't say Willy bum.
Don't say fuck the bugger.
Willy bum. You won't do. We came.
This is me, Danny Dyer, and welcome to another East End's Hardest Villains.
You muppet.
You Muppets.
Shut it, you slag.
Sort it out, nonce.
You fucking nonce.
Willy bum bum, mate. Oh, hang on. They don't say that in EastEnders.
No.
No.
We need to do the EastEnders theme tune, but it's Willy Bum Bum. Willy Bum Bum Bum.
Willy bum bum bum. Can't fall in love.
No, not that. The Duff
Dun,
Duffs
dun.
at the end. Only the Willy Bum Bums at the end.
Willy bum 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 bum. No.
Actually, do you want to start? Do you want to start with the clip that I found before Ian does his bit?
Go ahead, mate. It's your show.
Okay, then, hold on a second. Just give me a second. Boomering it up right now. This is a clip that I thought Ian would have put in, but he didn't because he's not as good as me.
For our KFC,
Can't do everything.
Greg's, McDonald's. Well,
Not just a
we'll
prick.
deliver
Don't
for
watch
free.
this advert.
Zilch quiz, $0, no money.
Got ad block.
Fancy McDonald's.
No, not on the OBS.
Right, Reg. When that Jack with Vicky comes along, we do him, right?
Right, Ronnie, you hold him, and I'll stick him with a blade.
Right. Right, but Vinny, you've been telling porky pies. Do him, Reg.
Do it, Reg. Good knife.
All right, cut, hold it. Is there a problem, love? You could say that. Listen, lads, you're gangsters. You're not frightened of a knife. Ah, right, gotcha. This is the East End of London. Jack McVitie is a hardened criminal, so try and stay in character, Right. Okay, 6, take 2. And action!
Right, Reg. When Jack with Vicky comes
That's the
along,
music
do
from
him,
The
right?
Untouchables, isn't it?
You hold him, and I'll stick him with a
It is, yeah.
Hold it! What the hell are you up to?
You said Jack McVitie was a hardened criminal.
Yes, but you two are the Krays! You two are the most terrifying villains around.
Right, terrifying villain.
Right, gotcha.
And action! No! You're not frightened of each other, for Christ's sake! You're not frightened of anything. Jack McVitie comes on, you grab him, and you stab him. It's as simple as that.
Oh, dear. Oh, there's only one slight problem.
What?
I'll need a knife.
You've got a bloody knife.
If you could just get me one.
It's in your hand.
Good enough.
For pity's sake, look. Let me put it like this. Legit now?
Yeah. Let's have a quick run through.
Right, Reggie. When that Jack with Vicky comes along, we do him, right?
Right, Ronnie, you hold him and I'll stick him with a blade.
Right. Why would Jack with Vicky, you be telling porky pies? Go on, do it, Reg. Ooh, snap.
Great, excellent. Okay, let's go for it.
Right.
Lights!
Spandau Ballet could do it better than these. Right, Andrew up, Ian.
That gave us an idea of what's to come then, yeah?
That's the real story of the Krays as it happened.
Yeah. We
Jim
don't need
Cook-
we don't need to say anything now.
Yeah.
Jim Cook's not familiar with the Krays. He says, "Is that Charlie and Toppy bumping into Phil?"
Don't get it, but I'll laugh.
It's funny.
Anyway, all right then. Okay. So, all right. So, following on from the recent twins episode we did, yeah.
Yeah.
Tonight we're going to look at some more twins. Yeah. So we'll do that. So, what we're going to do: go up the apples and pears, have a sing-song around the old Joanna, some jelly eels, and look at a couple of identical Cockney wankers. Let's go to our bedroom and have a Sherman tank. Oh, blimey, governor, it's the Krays. Even it. So
Is that
alright
the
then, so
Krays?
there's an intro. Yes. So
In their
so
traditional London garb.
Yeah.
just to give us a bit of a background to the story. So all right then. So before the war, the East End of London was a complete fucking shithole. Poverty was the norm. Opium dens were rife, and women on the game was commonplace. Jack the Ripper was also on the loose, causing havoc.
You're saying the Luftwaffe urban improvement program made the East End slightly better.
Well, yeah.
Ever so slightly.
What we'll do then, let's have a look there. A couple of Cockney wankers, and we'll get a
Early
feel for the
cunts.
East End.
Hello, we're Cockneys.
I love
Do you
this
remember
shit.
that one from the Fast Show? Hello, we're Cockneys.
Have you any jelly deals?
They are Cockneys there, those two there. So
We're Cockneys, don't you know, for fuck's sake.
They're a little bit
A
wee,
load
a
of
little
shit.
bit woe. They're Cockneys.
let's go to the next picture and we'll have another look at
They'll
Cockney,
nick
get a feel for-
anything.
Yeah. There you go, what a cunt. So
Face only a mother could love.
yeah. Sort of face you could punch.
Yeah.
So let's go on to the next picture and we'll look at sort of traditional eatery.
I've always fancied. I haven't
East
tried
End.
traditional pie and mash and liquor. Either you guys tried it?
I've tried deep
Nope.
fried Mars bar in Edinburgh.
I'd rather have deep fried marathon, but
You can get deep fried anything in Edinburgh, as I found out. Go to the next picture. Let's have another look at some Cockneys. I think you'll recognise these ones.
Oh, he's based Frank.
Pat and Frank.
At least you didn't show the picture of Frank standing there in nothing but his revolving bow tie.
Yeah, with his cock out on the doorstep.
I would have believed it. EastEnders used to be funny at one point.
Yeah.
Pat was on the game as well, wasn't she?
Pat.
Wouldn't pay much for that.
Yeah.
Pat, you slag. Anyway, all right then. So back to the.
Do you remember at one point Pat was related to absolutely everybody on the? There was nobody on the square she wasn't related to in some way.
Auntie Pat.
He was married to Pete Beale.
Yeah.
And had an affair with her. Mike Reed as well in his later.
Yeah, because
later
she started
episodes.
off as Pete Beale's bit on the side, didn't she? That's when she came into it, weren't it?
Yeah.
Is that the father
This
of
is
Ian
your
Beale?
most English show, by the way, you guys. As a Yankee, just saying.
Evening, Clown X. You're not gonna have a single idea what we're talking about, but sit back and enjoy
You
it.
don't. This is like a foreign planet. I love it.
Real Cockney posting hours.
This was a sort of a British version of kind of Dallas, that kind of thing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Minus
Lower
the
budget.
glamour or
Didn't
the
they actually,
charm
didn't they
or the
actually
budget.
export it to the States with subtitles? I remember something at the time that they tried to export it to the States, and they literally like taught people what Cockney was and give it subtitles and everything.
But wait, wasn't Dick Van Dyke convincing enough?
Dick Van Dyke, the supreme Cockney
think-
accent.
Or
I think
should we call him?
it was Lock, Stock and Snatch that finally got Americans up to speed on what Cockneys were.
Yeah.
I
a
call
Cockney.
him Penis Van Lesbian. Think about it.
Let's see.
That's the politically correct term for his name.
Yes.
That was clever, wasn't it?
So
Very.
shouldn't it be penis like goods vehicle penis like goods vehicle lesbian?
Could be.
Penis daft lesbian.
Yeah. No, Daft's too big. It's a van, isn't it?
Oh, Penis Leylandaff.
No, still too big.
Oh, that's what she said.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, enough of that. We got an idea. We got an idea.
Jim Cook in the chat says, "Call blimey, Jack the Yak, you're in a pickle and no mistake."
Yeah. Okay. But anyway, that's what the East End of London was like. So a complete shithole. So you wouldn't want to live there. So
full of wankers.
The Second World War made matters worse as the German bombed the shit out of the place and made it even more of a dump than it already was. The only way out for men born into this environment was to become a boxer or a villain.
Or both.
Oh, just down the road you have the City of London, and there's loads of jobs there for those who wanted to work. So I don't agree with that.
If only they pulled themselves up by
there's loads of jobs there if you want. Yeah, get on your bike. Anyway, okay then. On the 24th of October 1933, East End couple Violet and Charles Kray brought twins Ronnie and Reggie Kray into the world. Let's have a look at the next picture and we'll see what
Not
these
the finest moment then.
Cockney hard men looked like in their younger days.
Hold on.
Still got Pat and Frank on. Yeah, so.
Looks like Winston
And there we
Churchill.
are. Hey.
Looks like Winston
the one on the right. One on the right already looks like he wants to stab you.
Where's me blade? Ronnie, where's me blade?
Cut each other's hands off as well in an early fight. Anyway, all right then. So the couple had 3 children: Ronnie, Reggie, and Charlie Jr., who was born 6 years before the twins.
Are they commonly known as Ronnie, Reggie, and the other one?
A bit like Dross, isn't it?
Yeah.
You knew the 2 singers, but the guy with the dark hair.
Yeah, those 2 and
Wham.
then the other one.
Yeah.
Or Wham, there was George Michael and the other one.
Did you know there was actually a spare Gallagher brother as well, weren't there? The fat one. I can't remember his name.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Is that a bit like Sparehead Free?
Yeah. The one with the droid rot.
Yeah, anyway. All right then, okay. So, Charlie Senior, the father, supported the family by wheeling and dealing, and they moved into a 2-up, 2-down council house at 178 Valence Road in Bethnal Green, the East End. So let's have a look at the house where they grew up. Let's have a look then. Go into the next
Bethnal
picture.
Green. It's full of ninjas. Watch out.
There you go. So that's the house that they grew up in there. An old Victorian terrace house. So let's have a look at the site today. Go to the next picture and see the eyesore that's replaced the terraced house, which is 178 Valence Road today. So the original house is long gone. Okay then.
Properly gentrified there.
Yeah. It is, yeah. But the East End is good now. I like the East End. Anyway, so growing up, the twins were the apple of their mother's eye, and she enjoyed the attention that being the mother of twins brought her. One of the highlights of the twins' childhood was spending time with their grandfather, former East End boxer Jimmy Cannonball Lee. So their grandfather used to talk shit to them, as no one else would listen to him. Let's have a look at a picture of the mad cunt. There he is.
He looks like a proper lad, doesn't he? He can't have been that good about a boxer. He's had all his teeth punched out, hasn't he?
And
looks like
smoking as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, there he is, the mad bastard. So.
Well, quite often in those days, Hemi, working class people would actually knock their own teeth out because the price of dentistry was so high that it was worth just knocking your own teeth out because that would cure all of your problems.
You could also
Except now
sell a
you
kidney
can't
as well.
chew food.
Huh?
Except now you can't chew food.
You just mash it up and eat it.
Yeah, but you could give risk-free blowjobs.
Yeah.
Oh God! Don't start our bit off on blowjobs, Christ!
You get risk-free blowjobs.
We all got our preferences, mate.
I bet it keeps trying to neg Flossie and trying to get her to give him a blowjob.
No, that's not what's happening.
Yeah.
Okay.
It'd be easier to rape someone as well, wouldn't it?
No teeth.
Oh yeah, and what Alphabet Cat said they had false teeth.
They bite the victim, and they couldn't trace you.
You can have wooden teeth like what's his name? Well, that's what got Bundy caught, weren't it?
George Washington.
George Washington.
I get those two mixed up.
Had a metallic cock as well.
That's how Bundy got caught, wasn't it? He's when he bit that woman. That was one of the.
Although I've heard the whole dental record thing's utter bullshit. That's like a pseudoscience, and there's lots of people with very similar teeth.
If you have quite an out of place one, then because I think Bundy had quite bad teeth, didn't he? So I think if you have quite an out of place one, then it would be easy to do, wouldn't it?
They used dental records in the identification of the West, identified in the West murders as well. One of the children.
Using dental records is transphobic, anyway.
Yeah, but yeah, it is. Yeah. So anyway, okay then. So let's go back to this. So their grandfather, Lee, would tell tales that fascinated the twins of his own life as a boxer. He would also tell them stories of East End gangsters and villains, giving the boys images of the glamour that comes with this lifestyle, and putting ideas into their head, making it thinking it's good to be a gangster. That's what we'll be when we grow up.
Remember, kids, just say no to being a gangster.
Don't listen to your elders.
Yeah.
If anyone asks you if you've got any drugs on you, just say no.
Yeah.
Let's go to the next picture and have another look at the this mad bastard. Let's just have another quick look at him. There he is.
Oh, I'm lucky I'm not watching in VR.
Yeah.
Put you right off your strike, wouldn't it, Dom, that? You can actually watch YouTube in VR, can't you?
Yeah, I wouldn't mess around with that 86-year-old man.
Yeah.
One of those stereoscopic vision 3D Viewmaster things, and those are really
he taught
good.
the boys good discipline. Look, leather gloves on. Is that when he was going to batter Violet or his missus or something? Was he going to give a good kick in?
Well, they all hit their wives around in those days. It was normal. So anyway, all right then. So in their youth, the twins took up boxing. They became successful amateur boxers and became good at hitting people. Reggie was more the controlled tactical boxer and won several tournaments. So let's have a look at the next picture. We'll see the twins in their youth as boxers. Let's have a look at this. Here we go.
I noticed they're going for the Simon Cowell style of pulling shorts up, aren't they?
Yeah, up to the neck.
The one piece short thing there.
Yep.
No, hitting below the waistline, is that it?
Yeah.
Don't hit me below the belt, lads.
Kick him in the nuts. But anyway, so so you can't tell which one is which in that picture. Go to the next picture. Let's have a look at the Krays again in there.
You wear the shorts up a bit higher than normal on purpose. Yeah. It's because of rabbit punches. You're not really supposed to punch into the lower gut area. So quite often you'll pull your short up to just below or above your belly button. So any shot that hits your gut, they know is low blow, and they'll automatically call that. And the next time you do it, you will get a penalty or a point disqualification.
Are they like Ant and Deck, where they always stand on the same side? That's what I need to know, Ian.
And one of them's got a bigger forehead than the other.
I thought they were like Ant and Deck, where Ronnie always stood. Ronnie and because they always called Ronnie and Reggie. I just assume that Ronnie's always stood on the left. Then is he?
Older in the older pictures, you can see there is a difference. Ronnie has a fatter head, and you can.
Yeah, Ronnie wears glasses in one, doesn't he?
Yeah, there's that as well, but because Ronnie was fatter than Reggie. But anyway, let's look at the next picture. Let's see more pictures of. There
he is.
We got the next picture. There we go. Okay.
He looks well different there.
Indistinguishable.
Yeah, it's definitely him though.
Yeah.
Do we look at more pictures of bare-chested young men? Yeah. Let's go to the next picture. Let's have a look.
Hang on, this feels a bit like fascist fitness.
What the hell is going on with that geezer at the fuck?
I don't know.
What the fuck?
I don't.
What website did you get this from, Ian?
From practically CS Anus.
Yeah. You can see what religion he is. Blimey.
What? And why is MC Hammer there?
Yeah.
Having a good rummage around, though, isn't it? So,
Untouched
anyway,
this.
all right.
Yeah, is that a drag? Is that a drag queen or is that a woman?
Apparently,
He's
he
touching
can
it, isn't
touch that.
Yeah, and he has.
Guys loving it. Who's enjoying it, smiling away. Right, enough of this. Right, let's stop looking at naked men. Let's go to the next picture and get back.
Oh,
to
we've
the
got.
Krays
Hold on,
story.
we've got. Good at Boxing legend has been discredited. Steve Bunce did a podcast on him, and a trainer / promoter guy called Mick Carney said they was rubbish. Mick was on Ronnie's hit list that he kept. So obviously Mick Carney has no axe to grind there, does he?
Not at all.
But in their boxing days, there they are, top of the bill. So they were very good at boxing and could have made a career of that, but they decided to go down a different
Not for the
route.
last time they were top of the bill. Am I right?
So anyway, all right then. So yes, it's around this time in their lives that Ronnie and Reggie formed a gang, which became infamous in the London area, and they narrowly dodged prison sentences on several occasions. So at a young age, they were causing trouble. And having a gang mucking about, that
causing a right load of old stress and grief,
smoking and stuff. So twins didn't have any
bins over.
The twins didn't have any success in the workplace, and to become professional boxers was their initial aim. Ronnie had some success in the sport, but his brother was the real contender. Ronnie enjoyed giving other men a bashing round the ring and would continue to do this throughout his life. Side of the ring, Ronnie was known for his temper and his willingness to fight anyone who stood in his way.
Apparently they only had about 6 fights each.
It was becoming apparent that Ronnie had mental problems. He was diagnosed schizophrenic, and this would affect him and his brother throughout their lives in a negative way. So he was schizophrenic, like the Yorkshire Ripper, who said he was schizophrenic. Common trait amongst criminals. In their youth, the twins would frequent local pubs and nightclubs. They enjoyed getting into punch-ups and had a reputation as troublemakers. Establishments such as the Royal nightclub in Tottenham would be frequented by the twins around this time. So let's have a look at the next picture. Let's have a look at the Royal nightclub in Tottenham. So this we go.
That looks like a top
Here it
venue,
is
that does, doesn't it?
Well, interesting. I didn't realise this, but in my youth, I used to go there. I used to go to that club in Tottenham. So if you go to the next picture, you'll see it.
Are you a Cockney wanker then?
I used to live North London. I lived in North London.
You're a Cockney wanker.
I love London. I used to go to that club in my youth. It was great. A great night.
I used to love Ritzy and the Zone in my town.
Yeah. Yep. 2 shots for a
I
fiver.
had some bloody good nights at Ritzy.
Wonder bras getting free. Yeah. So anyway, I took a trip down memory lane and went to visit that site quite recently to look at the club and relive my youth. And when I got there, let's look at the next picture and see what's happened now.
Oh no!
Yep, and I saw. I couldn't believe it. So
yeah, that happened to my Ritzy as well. It got fucking steamrolled.
They should bring Ritzy back. It's a good club. But anyway.
So, also the Black Horse Boozer, or are you going to mention that later?
There's plenty of boozers, I'm sure that's in it.
Yeah, the Black Horse Boozer on the Mile End Road was called the Bucket of Blood. Was their local.
Slaughtered lamb.
There's a Bucket of blood in Cornwall.
No, it was nicknamed the Bucket of Blood. But
I
did go to Ritzy, you know.
Isn't the Fawcett Inn in Cornwall as well?
Big Dick's halfway in.
Big Dick's halfway in.
Anyway, all right then. So there you go. That's a bit of a background into the early life of the Krays. So what we're going to do then? So we'll go over to Dom now, who's going to give us a further insight into the Krays' early life. Take it away.
All right. Okay, when they were 16, they kicked the crap out of fishmonger Tommy Jackson. Tommy looked at them funny, so Reggie held him to the floor whilst Ronnie repeatedly kicked him in the head. Jackson ended up in hospital with a fractured skull.
They liked a fair fight then.
Oh yeah.
Talk with their fists.
They was men of honour back then, weren't they?
And they loved their mum.
Yeah.
In 1952, the twins were called up for national service. Upon their arrival to the army, they were given a lecture on smart turnout with other recruits by the corporal. Not once to be told what to do, the Krays started to walk away. The corporal then tried to stop them, but Reggie punched him and they went back to the East End. They were arrested the next day and returned to the army.
I was going to say, because that's how the army works, isn't it? You just walk out.
Yeah. I think in the film they just did it and got away with it or something. Anyway, this set the tone for their 2 years of national service. They constantly deserted and defied authority. They deserted and defied authority and spent
They didn't
much
defile
time
no
in
one what didn't
prison.
deserve it.
Sure, they did a lot of defiling as well. Yeah,
I bet Ronnie did anyway.
Was a file.
Incidents included tying up a sergeant major to a chair and hitting him round the head, emptying a hot canteen of tea over a guard, urinating in a corporal's food, and throwing a bucket of feces in the face of a military prison screw.
I don't want to be that guy, but do you think some of this is somewhat embellished?
There's a lot of feces flying around in prison, though, so that isn't too hard to believe. A dirty protest.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's apparent that rather than shipping them into better citizens, the twins' time in national service had only developed their ability to get their own way.
And they learned how to handle a shooter.
With their criminal records and dishonourable discharges, it was an end to the brothers' boxing careers, so they turned to crime to make a living. See, it's about this whole thing about the prison reform system, really, isn't it?
There's loads of jobs in the city of London. If they'd just gone down there and applied, then they could have had a good career. But
Username says they are Roma gypsies, so they probably did throw feces. Oh, Damien reminds us from the film. In the film, they go to prison and speak to Michael Elphick, who talks to them about protection rackets.
Yeah. Boone. Yeah. 3 up, 2 down.
Yeah.
Anyway, where are we? 1954, age 20, they acquired a rundown billiard hall in Mile End called the Regal. The Regal became a popular meeting place for local villains, and a Maltese gang approached the brothers, asking for protection money. Not impressed by this request, Ronnie drew a sword and attacked the gang, who then backed down.
What, do you think he's Conan the fucking Barbarian or something, does he?
See his enemies driven before him.
Yeah.
And all that.
Smart will make you laugh forever.
What pencil did he use when he drew the sword? Was it HB4?
So, word began to spread that he shouldn't fuck about with the Krays, and tales about their
Is Blakey in the Krays film?
Travelled.
Damien said it's a decent film until Blakey turns up in character.
Blakey's the best one in it, yeah.
Oh, get you, Ronnie Kray!
Ronnie kept chasing the Clippies. And, didn't
that's £1 million idea on the buses, but with the Krays instead. Okay, you Kray brothers. Oh, dear. We're throwing out some prime references for the kids here, aren't we? They're going to know exactly what we're talking about.
I think younger kids probably wouldn't get it, but
I think anybody under the age of about 38 is going to get. I don't think anyone under the age of 38
under the age of
get our jokes.
Anyone under 55, they're not going to get any of this.
We're not exactly appealing to the the main demographic of YouTube.
We're not chasing the TikTok crowd, are we?
Should try and get a younger audience though, because current audience will die soon. They don't want to listen.
What with the curse of the Pokemon?
Curse of Dad's Army. All of them are fucking dead, apart from thingy who's bumming Martin Eastend, doesn't he? Pikey.
Like, is he still alive?
Pike's still alive, isn't he?
You stupid.
Anyway, speaking of bumming, we should probably carry on with the Krays.
Speaking of bumming, you were talking about Ronnie Kray.
So anyway, so yeah, they got a reputation for violence, and there's many witnesses to their many beatings and carve-ups.
Yeah, but they never hurt civilians, though, did they? Never hurt civilians.
They never hurt their mum, did they?
Yeah.
So we can have a butcher's, the Regal Club.
Wow, that looks like a dump, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think that's Reggie or Ronnie. One of the two.
No, that's Ronnie, Reggie, and Jaws from the James Bond film.
Yeah.
It's Pat Connolly. It's the big guy.
Who's Pat Connolly? One of the gangsters.
They're there. He's a diamond geezer.
One of the heavies.
Yeah.
And there's the next picture will show them with said diamond geezers inside the Regal.
Diamond geezers.
God, that's Reggie third in. I don't think Ronnie's in that picture. And again, that's Pat Connolly stood next to Ronnie in his long coat.
He's a fucking big old unit, isn't he?
Fuck about with him, no.
Yeah.
I want to go drinking there. Complete sausage fest.
Well, he didn't mind, did he?
That's the way Ronnie liked it.
Yeah, Reggie as well. But,
whoever is that, Ronnie there? Ronnie's looking a bit worried about old Fellamy lad there, isn't he?
Well, he likes him. He likes a beer, doesn't he? So.
Yeah.
Was that Ronnie and Reggie on the background on the left?
Third one in is one of them, but I can't see the other one.
No,
I think there's only one of them there. The other one must be taking the picture.
The one's probably bumming somewhere, isn't he?
Get bummed in the toilets.
They're too busy bumming to go in the picture.
So anyway, they made money from this place by using it as a storehouse for knockoff gear and weapons. So East End cat burglar Tom Fenning owed the Krays some money, and he kept putting off the repayment. Eventually, Fenning got out of the money to. Eventually he got the money to pay back the twins and arranged to meet them at the Regal to hand over the cash. Not impressed with his late repayment, Ronnie wanted to teach him a lesson. Held up against the wall, Ronnie pushed the blade of his sword against the sides of Fenning's mouth. Kray then kneed him in the bollocks. Fenning spasmed forwards, and the blade which cut up the sides of his face resulted in the legendary Wuhan smile.
Wuhan smile.
And let's have a look. We've got a picture here.
Oh, have we? Oh, okay.
Yeah, a drawing though, not a real one.
Is that an accurate artist impression? Is it?
That's how it works. So
yeah.
When they push, when you go forward, the ball pain, they push the sword back. It goes up the side of your cheeks and gives you a big smile, like the Joker, someone like that.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Well, no, I got these
try it on a friend. Try it at home with a friend.
Do you reckon he used to go around the East End pubs going, "You want to know I've got these scars?"
So, right, in 1956, Ronnie shot a car salesman in the leg during a botched deal and was identified by the victim as the attacker. Ronnie was able to get away by pretending to be Reggie, who had a solid alibi.
I'd say the police were really on the fucking ball, weren't they?
You know, as if they didn't know who they were by then. And on the 5th of November, 1956, Ronnie was sent
did a
to
lot of these
Wandsworth
officers
prison.
go on? Did a lot of these officers go on to work on the Peter Sutcliffe case? Did they?
I went to work on the Jeffrey Epstein case.
To work on the Jimmy Savile case.
Yeah.
Went to work on the Gary Glitter case, and so on.
So anyway, Ronnie was sent to Wandsworth, 5th of November 1956 for another assault. This left Reggie in charge of the firm. Ronnie was getting out of control and was very intimidating for anyone in his company. He was also now taking strong doses of prescription drugs. He was prone to erratic mood swings and seemed to enjoy the violence.
Well, he obviously weren't taking the right prescription drugs then, was he? I thought that was
I guess
supposed
he
to
didn't
stop
bother
that.
going back.
He was getting off. He was getting off on causing pain to others. He enjoyed it. So
So boy, yeah, exactly. Does that picture? That looks like a face hugger on her head.
Yeah, it does look a bit weird, doesn't it?
Yeah. Anyway, so by 1957, the brothers had their own club called the Double R, and they had their own gang called the Firm.
Why is it called the Double
Of
R?
a mixture of...
What do you think?
The two Ronnies.
Look at that, you muppet.
And they had their own gang called the Firm, consisting of a mixture of London heavies.
Which
Scottish
one of them was in
hard
charge
men.
of naming things?
Just call it the fucking Firm or something.
I could at least call it. What's that gang in London? The big money cash gang rapists or something like one of those type of
train robbers.
Yeah.
I guess back then there wasn't that many gangs, so they didn't need to be that inventive.
Yeah.
Oh, no one's taken this one yet.
Jim Cook wants to know the Double R. Was it pirate themed?
Double Arse Club, if it was anything to do with Ronnie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the firm consisted of London heavies, Scottish hard men, and bent businessmen.
Wait, bent in what way? Bent in what way?
This card.
Way that M Khan.
Probably all of them.
Yeah, all of them. Any which way.
We can see a picture here from which is a business card of the Double R.
Still exists to this day. You can get one of these cards. So there we go.
Well, you can get one of the
Did a lot of people
originals.
think Charlie's name was And Charlie?
Yeah. There's a joke there. I'm going to come on to that later. Write that down.
Oh, right, I couldn't.
Oh, yeah. It's a beauty.
Yeah.
So their business activities were based on a profession of violence, and they got what they wanted. Whether it was a percentage of a club's takings, protection money from a pub or business, or a slice of another criminal's robbery proceeds. They had their fingers in many pies. And now over to my lovely assistant Ian. The weather.
Yeah.
I've got to say that sounds like a wild night there, doesn't it? 7 till 10 p.m. on Sundays.
If you look at the picture, it looks like a shithole as well. A few stools at the bar.
The stools don't even
How's my
fucking
pizza?
match. Where did they get the stools from? Had they just been like most of they had like one decent step, but as people got hit with them, they had to fucking replace them with stuff from like fucking boot sales and stuff.
Busy smashing each other over the head with the stools too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not much of a place, is it? But anyway, that's where they started there.
Yeah, I don't think we can say this enough, but they loved their mother though, didn't they? Loved their mother.
Did love their mother.
Yeah.
And Ronnie loved cock, and Mary loves dick. Anyway, all right then. So let's move on with the story now. So it's around this time that they owned the Double R Club that Reggie met his future wife, Frances Shea. She was the younger sister of Krays driver Frank Shea. Reggie was 25 at the time, and he was 10 years older than Francis. So he was 25, and he was 10 years older than Francis. We work that out?
Well,
he was 25.
If a train leaves the
having a
station, don't need to get
they're
pen
old
and
enough
paper out, do I?
If they're old enough to bleed, they're old enough to breed.
Yeah.
So, do the math.
It's supposed to be like half your age plus 7 years or something.
Basically, she was underage, wasn't he? He was a nonce. So, technically. So, underage. He was doing it.
Oh no, he broke the law. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, but to break the law, breaking the law and is breaking the law in that way, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, so they love their mum and all that, but this is unacceptable.
They love their mum. They love kids as well, obviously.
Yeah. Let's go to the next
until
picture.
this point. Up until this point, he was just a lovable rogue, but now.
Yeah, now he's a sex offender.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at the jailbait anyway. Let's look at the next picture. We'll see her. Let's see what he was doing.
Oh, she was a looker, weren't she? Woof. Woof.
Yeah, not bad for a child. So,
blimey, Chad. To be fair, I can see why. She looks like a 40-year-old woman, doesn't she? Jesus Christ.
I think everyone did back then.
Oh, Jesus shit. She had a rough life, didn't she? Blimey.
So anyway, all right then. So in 1959, Reggie was incarcerated in Wandsworth for demanding money with menace. Roger Barnett ran a West End nightclub. Reggie demanded protection money from him and threatened to cut Roger's dick off if he didn't pay up. Not wanting to spend the rest of his life as some sort of dickless freak, he handed over the cash, but then went to the police, which resulted in Reggie being banged up. So he was a snitch. This left Ronnie to run the business, though he had been recently diagnosed schizophrenic. So things started to go wrong around this time for the Krays. They were not getting away with things.
Yeah, because Ronnie was a dickhead. No, Reggie was a dick. Well, Ronnie didn't help, did he? Being a fucking psychopath.
I think he was a psychopath and Reggie was just easily led.
As Jim Cook says, that's Ronnie not a haircut, it's a crash helmet, isn't it?
Yeah. A German helmet.
Jesus Christ.
Where
did she used to work behind the bar at the Double I? Like wade in? I bet she used to wade into the bar fights, didn't she? Fuck me.
No, she was the sister of one of the people that worked for the Krays, one of their drivers. So that's how he met her. But anyway, all right then. So in 1960, the twins approached the Barry brothers, who were the owners of the Regency Club in Stoke Newington. They demanded protection money. They demanded protection money.
Is that right, Barry?
Barry brothers. The Chuckle brothers.
Yeah.
So the Barry brothers.
That right, Barry?
So anyway, they demanded protection money, or they would kick the shit out of them. The Barry brothers handed over the cash, and the club became a regular haunt for the twins and other nasty pieces of work from the East End. The club was also frequented by celebrities and society figures, such as Lord Boothby and Princess Margaret. So they used to
Babs
go to
Windsor.
Babs Windsor. We'll come on to her shortly.
Oh, okay.
Anyway. It was commonplace in this club that the twins would dish out beatings and punishments for those that crossed them. In 1962, jewel thief and safebreaker Lenny Hamilton got onto their wrong side. Hamilton was summoned to the Regency one night where he found Ronnie Kray and some members of the firm waiting for him. Kray was in the kitchen of the premises where he had a gas ring burning and some red-hot pokers being heated on by them. Ooh. Hamilton was held down by the Kray henchmen as Kray burnt his hair. The pokers then burned Hamilton's suit and across his forehead, so he was getting a good branding.
Ooh.
So basically, Kray then looked at Hamilton in a marred stare and said, "Right, now I'm going to burn your fucking eyes out." As he was about to do this to blind the guy, one of the firm shouted, "No, Ronnie, don't do that." Then all of a sudden, Kray stopped and told Hamilton, "He ain't worth it, Ronnie, leave it." Pat, you slag. So anyway, then all of a sudden, Kray stopped and told Hamilton to go on his way, which is a sign of schizophrenia, the way that someone can just switch moods all of a sudden. It was also in this club where the infamous Jack the Hat McVitie appeared one night waving a sawn-off shotgun about and shouting. So, yeah, so things...
I can't hear Jack McVitie's name without fancying a hobnob.
Yeah. a hat, even. But
Jack the Hat.
yeah, so things are getting a little bit crazy, in the Krays world. After a steady beginning, building up a businesses, their profession of violence is taking over.
Well, it should have gone the other way, shouldn't it? The more successful they became, the less violent they should have been. But they kind of went the opposite way, didn't they?
Exactly, and I think if Reggie was more, if Ronnie wasn't there, then it probably would have been more.
I think. Sorry, but have you missed a photo?
I missed the photo.
Yeah.
What should there be?
Should be one of the Regency Club. Go to the next photo.
Next slide. Yeah.
To see the Regent. That's what it looked like. It's nothing.
Yeah, you didn't tell me to change slides.
Sorry, I was getting.
You're all frothed up.
Yeah. you get a little bit frisky over Ronnie's girlfriend, weren't you?
Yeah. Anyway, all right then. So there we go. That's where we are. So the things are getting a little bit crazy now. Ronnie's getting out of hand. So what we'll do? Let's go over to Dom now, who will paint more of a picture of the Krays and their world. Over to you.
So in 1960, the Krays acquired a nightclub in upmarket Knightsbridge by the name of Esmeralda's Barn. This club was a way of expanding their criminal activities into London's West End.
Did Quasimodo go in there?
Yep. There's a recreation of Notre Dame.
You know the one, don't you? You know the one where Quasimodo goes into the pub, then he said, "Can I have a whiskey?" He said, "Bell's right." He said, "Mind your own fucking business."
The long face. Oh no, that's another. Chernobyl, your novel fall off.
Can you put me up for the night?
Yeah. Anyway.
Right, sorry, Dom.
So there's a picture of Esmeralda's Barn.
Twanky.
If you can go to the next one.
Oh, Esmeralda's Barn. That makes it sound even worse.
There we go. That is.
Do you think it was bar?
I thought it was bar. I think that was barn. Fucking.
Oh, it's where they kept hay. So.
Do they have to like whenever they buy a place, they have to make sure it's named really, really badly?
Maybe it's to disguise. Maybe like it looks really shit because it disguises how wealthy they really are.
Yeah.
It's like, we're just like guys with these honest, really shitty looking businesses.
Yeah. Love their mum. They love their mum.
Don't forget they love their mum.
Yeah.
So this club became a lucrative venue for the twins, enabled them to play the part of celebrity gangsters.
Yeah, I could just imagine Princess Margaret coming in there.
Regular visits to the.
She smokes.
Jim Cook says you can smell the piss. You can smell the piss just looking at that photo.
That's London.
Yeah.
But anyway, the club had regular visitors, including artists Francis Bacon and Lucian Freud. The club also became a useful front for the Krays' criminal activities, including
Lucian Freud? Is he like the Charlie Kray of the Freud family?
The spear wheel.
Yeah, he's the Charlie Kray of the Freud family, I reckon.
Maybe it's Emma Freud's husband.
There's Clement Freud, isn't there?
Yeah, he was a pedo, wasn't he?
He's Clement Freud's husband.
Yeah, Clement Freud's Claudia Winkleman's dad, isn't he?
Yeah.
Thought so.
So anyway, it became a front for their criminal activities, including the prostitution of young boys, who they used to entrap blackmail targets. So basically, they would supply a boy to a rich guy. The rich guy would bum the boy. The Krays would then get the rich guy to give money to stop them telling people that he'd bummed a boy.
It's a good system. So,
yeah,
Ronnie was able to
still in use today.
Yeah. Ronnie was able to choose young boys as waiters and croupiers to work in the club, and it became his own private vice ring, which included multiple gay sex shows and a man-to-man massage service.
Oh, grim.
Below Esmeralda's Barn was a lesbian club open to people of all sexual orientations.
A lesbian club
Yeah,
open to people of all sexual orientations. What?
Yeah.
It was aimed at lesbians, but they didn't have a problem if anyone else wanted to go there, basically. So quite progressive for the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're picking up momentum there.
Your turn, Ian.
Yeah, all right then. So in 1962...
Hold on, Brucey Kibbett says, why does this start happening as soon as they make friends with Sigmund Freud's grandson? Anyway,
so in 1962, the Krays...
Oh, sorry, I've got one more Freud gag. Tell me about your mother. I love me, dear old man.
The dude your mum.
Yeah.
Fourth try. So, in 1962, the Krays purchased the Kentucky Club in Stepney, East London. The club was popular with celebrities such as Barbara Windsor, who liked to rub shoulders with gangsters. So let's have a look at the next picture. Let's have a look at Barbara Windsor there.
Oh, my most iconic.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind giving her some swollen goods.
Yeah, but
wouldn't mind escape.
If you can look past her Windsor castles, then why you might notice why is she wearing like a 17th century aristocrat's wig?
Well, I was just looking at that miserable dyke in the background. It's just fucking ruining it for everyone.
Just looking on longingly.
Yeah.
Never knew KD Lang was in Carry On Camping.
Yeah. And that woman to the left looks like she's got a nappy on.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind escaping up her tunnel. Anyway, all right, let's go to the next picture. Let's look at Barbara Windsor in action with Reggie, someone else. For the next picture, let's see what... There we go, that's in the Kentucky Club. Cheers.
They weren't exactly photogenic, were they? What is that expression he's got on his face?
Probably looking at a geezer causing trouble over the other side of the bar.
Looks a bit like constipation. Or like, oh God, I'm going to have to talk to her. I don't know.
Anyway, all right then. So let's go to the next picture. Let's have a look at another picture from the Kentucky Club in those days. Yeah, group photo.
So is that Ronnie on the left and then Reggie on the left and Ronnie on the right?
Ronnie is there on the right. You can tell his head is bigger than Reggie, who's second in from the left.
Yeah,
second left. Yeah.
The older guy in sort of the mid is their father. The older guy there.
Oh, okay.
And, guy peeking over their shoulder was one of the firm, and their henchman, and his name was Johnny Squibbs. That was his name. Interesting.
I mean,
did he have a curry one night or something? Is that how he got his name?
I don't know.
I think Reggie looks like quite a dashing chap, but Ronnie looks like a potato.
Yeah, potato head.
What happens to that bloke who was an absolute unit? Is he not? Is he no longer about then? Was he?
He's probably giving someone a kicking out the back. So yeah, potato head though. So Ronnie could have been Wayne Rooney's father. Potato head, running the family. Anyway, back to the script. So in 1963, the Kentucky Club featured in East End kitchen sink drama Sparrows Can't Sing. Also in the film, some of the Krays henchmen featured as extras. So the Kentucky Club was actually featured in a film starring Barbara Windsor. So if you go to clip 1 there, Hemi, I've sent you. So you
is that the Kentucky Club?
It is, and this is it. This is the part of, and you can see, not that one, the YouTube clip I sent you. So.
Oh, the YouTube. Oh, sorry, the clip. I might have just stepped on a joke, have I?
I don't know. It was sort of.
That's the Kentucky Club today.
That is, so I thought really that's the Kentucky Club today. There we go. Let's play the clip. Let's see. Kentucky Club. And press play.
Is that literally the sign of it?
Yeah, it's bigger than that, obviously. Then these are actually some of the Krays firm as extras in the film. Is that Pat Connolly there? See? So.
Oh, look at her! Look, she's really getting into that music, isn't she?
She loves it. Yeah, it's the '60s.
There we go.
Yeah, so there you go. So, influence in the club, even in cinema. So if you go to the next picture, we'll look at that perfect fried chicken picture, and
that's
is
the Kentucky Club today.
I always thought it should be a Kentucky Fried Chicken, shouldn't it? Not a
perfect fried chicken.
So there you go. Their club empire is now building. Let's go over to Dom. He's going to give us more information of the uprising of the Krays.
The public image of the Krays was widely seen as prosperous and charming nightclub owners, and were part of the 60s swinging London scene. The criminal and violent side to the brothers was hidden, and they became popular figures on London's celebrity circuit. They socialised with lords and MPs.
That's
MPs.
Henry. That's our Henry, isn't it? That picture.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, so our Henry.
Show business characters including Frank Sinatra, Peter Sellers, Judy Garland, Shirley Bassey, Liza Minnelli, Cliff Richard, Jane Mansfield, Danny LaRue, and of course their Henry Cooper.
Yeah, so
and even David Bailey photographed the twins to promote their public image, which is next.
That is the one after. Oh, yeah.
The menacing photo.
Fucking hell! I bet old Ronnie had to have sausages around his neck so the dog would play with him when he was a kid, didn't he?
Wouldn't fuck with those.
And then in the next picture, it's them again with Andrew Ridgely.
Andrew Ridgely. You mean and Charlie?
And Charlie, yeah.
And
as he was known around.
Yeah. Except for Noom and Mondays. Charlie.
Yeah. In 1964, the twins approached Hugh McGowan, who was the owner of swanky West End club, The Hideaway. McGowan agreed to give the twins 20% of the club's takings. It was that, or get his head kicked in.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think it was like, oh, would you mind awfully, sir, if we come and partner you in the nightclub? I don't think it was like that, was it?
Yeah, there's a picture of it.
Dominic Currigan wants to know, did Henry Cooper splash it all over Ronnie? That's a brute gag, isn't it? Fucking hell. We're really hitting that 18 to 24 demographic that YouTube chases, aren't we? I think 1824 has to be your birthday, doesn't it? Your birth date to be able to get half of our gags from this episode.
Put the next picture. Let's look at the Hideaway Club. Let's see. Yeah.
Oh, Spacey Tracy says Henry. That's it. I thought it was Harry something. No, that was Frank Bruno used to talk about Harry Carpenter all the time, wasn't it? He was Henry's twin brother.
Did have a twin brother. They did a Weetabix advert, wasn't it?
Oh, I thought you had a brother.
It is a twin brother, yeah.
Yeah.
They're all twins at the moment, isn't it? Or a lot of twins.
Yeah. What was Henry Cooper's twin brother's name?
I'm not sure. Harry, maybe. Ronnie.
I don't know. George. Damien's got it, George.
No. Anyway, let's go to the next picture. We'll look at the Hideaway Club, and Dom can tell us
another shithole
of more mischief the Krays got up to.
Yeah, there he is. Another.
Those hyphens are the wrong way around.
Another miserable-looking, smelling through the camera.
Yeah, the shithole.
Sky.
I love the way they go, these upmarket nightclubs, they look like fucking shitholes from the outside.
Yeah. It's probably like, the old speakeasies in the Prohibition where they kind of look indiscreet from the outside, and then although we've seen pictures of their previous interiors, so I'm not quite convinced.
Do you reckon all the normal people like that looks like a shithole and I'm not drinking in there, and that's why the celebs used to drink in there?
Yeah, be like their way of stopping people from following them in.
Yeah.
So, well, let's find out about this deal. After thinking it through, McGowan pulled out of the deal and told the twins to get on their way.
How did that work out for him?
Oh, we'll find out.
He went back on his word, didn't he? So he went.
So let's vote on how it happened and what happened to him.
He ended up carrying his nose out in a carrier bag.
No,
20% is a lot, though, isn't it? So you would think that through.
They sent him away to live on a farm where he lived happily ever after.
Yeah.
But anyway, but it really pissed off Ronnie and Reggie, and they started threatening him. So he called the police, and the twins were arrested.
Ooh.
They went on trial for demanding money with menace. After 3 trials and almost certain extensive jury nobbling, they were eventually found not guilty. They celebrated by buying the hideaway and throwing a big party in the club. Following their non-guilty verdict, they appeared in an interview on national TV, and we have a clip.
So play the second clip, and we can actually see the Krays in their prime speaking. Not as an old man in prison. Here they go. Let's play that one and see what they say.
It's cost us roughly £8,000.
And how do you feel about that?
£8,000.
That's for anyone likes the idea of spend that money for no reason at all,
Does it leave you broke, or how does it leave you?
It doesn't leave us broke, but at the same time, it's a lot of money to have to pay out when one is innocent,
That voice does not match that face.
On this trial that
he sounds like a bit like Russell Brand.
I'm Ronnie Cray. Ronnie Cray.
Well, in all times you get an occasional drunk, and sometimes have to be slung out, and that's why there's doormen.
Or do you think they're putting on the voice to sound less intimidating?
Is this the posh
voice?
like
Jamie Oliver.
Is this their phone voice? Is it?
People wouldn't go to them, really, would they?
Ronald, what do you think about Clubland?
Well, I think, most clubs are very respectable, and I don't think there's any trouble at all in them, except occasionally.
Can you tell me?
It sounds like Clive Dunn from Dad's Army.
Evidence. Well, we was advised by illegal people not to give it.
What's the matter, in?
Why was that?
Well, the law of this country is well established. The onus is on the prosecution to prove its case. Counsel for these 2 men and the third defendant were quite satisfied in their own mind, as I in my own humble way was as well, that the prosecution had not proved their case, and there was no obligation on these men to go and make any answer to any of the allegations against them.
What are you going to do now that it's all over?
I like to have a bit of family life now, I intend to get married in the near future. I did before this case, but it's put back over the case, and let's get married as soon as possible,
Ronald, what are you going to do now?
Well, I'd like to go abroad.
I'm going to bum some.
And I'd like to be left
Got cock.
Yeah, was that was their lawyer they were with, wasn't it?
Yeah. He was dodgy as well. So there we go. So yeah, they were sailing quite close to the wind now, and doing things and getting off. But it was only a matter of time before.
Yeah, the system doesn't tend to like it when you get away with shit for too long, do they?
Exactly. So anyway, it was around this time in 1964 that Ronnie began a homosexual affair with Conservative peer.
Yeah, Jim Cook's just reminded me of the gag we missed doing the Clive Dunn bit. They're not like it up, Mr. Man.
Ronnie liked it up him, didn't he? I got the best gag for later, so I'm going to drop that later. It's coming. So anyway, so he was in an affair with Conservative peer Robert Boothby. They couldn't have been a more odd couple, the peer and the gangster. Men would go to homosexual parties together and were hunters of young men. Have a look at Boothby. Let's go to the next picture and see what was coming way of these young men. Look at that there. And there he is.
That's not him, is it? That's him when he was on some TV program, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. He looks
Baron Greenback.
He looks haggard there. Anyway, okay then. So in 1963, Boothby met East End cat burglar Leslie Holt. Boothby liked a bit of rough, so the 2 men embarked on a furious sexual relationship. Boothby liked to tie up rent boys, then get Holt to fillet them. Then Boothby would pleasure himself whilst watching. Holt was an acquaintance of the Krays and introduced Boothby to Ronnie and Reggie. And got bored of Holt. Boothby then started doing Ronnie Kray, and the men embarked on a sexual relationship. Boothby liked a bit of rough, and he definitely had that with a man like Kray. But what was in it for Ronnie? So let's go to the next picture, and we'll see.
Well, they like a psycho, don't they? Actually, he does really look like Boothby, that guy playing him. But who's that other crazy judge, the one who had the thing for Myra Hindley?
Oh yeah.
What was his fucking name?
He tried to.
Yeah, he tried to get a release no end of times, didn't he?
Yeah. I can't remember. He was nuts anyway.
Yeah.
Is this guy on the right? Was he one of the monkeys?
Yeah, that's just a boy. That's a boy they were doing at the time. So it's Boothby smoking, and he does, and
Ronnie in the young is the man you're feeling, aren't you, Ian?
Yeah, and some young trade on the end there. So. Anyway, the tabloids got hold of the story, and it was quite a scoop. It was illegal to be gay in those days, and the relationship between the peer and the gangster would have made good reading. The Sunday Mirror ran with the story, but did not mention names. It was obvious who they were.
That judge with Myra Hindley, is that Langthorne or something like that?
Yeah, Longford.
Longford.
Yeah.
Not bad.
He's dead now anyway, so.
Yeah, thank God.
But anyway, so the Sunday Mirror got hold of the story. They were being careful. They printed the story, but they didn't mention who was involved. But even so, it was so suggestive that it was enough for Boothby to sue the paper for £40,000. So let's go to the next picture. We'll see the actual Sunday Mirror front page from the time reported on the story. See that on the next picture there.
Public men at seaside parties.
Yeah.
Oof.
Peer and the gangster. The queer and the gangster, more like. But anyway, let's get on with this. So, with Boothby now with a £40,000 windfall, there was only one place that money was going to end up. The Krays demanded the money to keep quiet about Boothby's homosexual activities and shenanigans with rent boys. Boothby handed over the 40,000 and the Krays then had that money.
Yeah, Brucey says we should have done this episode during Pride Week.
Yeah. But anyway, MI5 investigated Boothby, and their files said that he shared Ronnie Kray's fondness for young boys. So even the...
But he did love his mother, though, so that's all right.
Yeah. So now, as time goes on, we're getting an idea of how fucked up this whole world was that the Krays were involved in. Basically, anything goes. Underage sex, homosexuality, the whole lot. Anyway, on the 19th of April, 1965...
Yeah, but they was gentlemen. They was gentlemen, and they was always looked after the local community.
Loved their mum.
They loved their mother.
And they loved their mum. Don't forget they loved their mum.
Anyway, the 19th of April, 1965, Reggie married his long-term girlfriend, Frances, and at the time, she was no longer jailbait and was legal. Frances was 22, Reggie was 31. So back of the net.
Bit noncy. Still a bit noncy.
It was the East End wedding of the year. So let's have a look at a picture from the wedding. Go to the next picture there.
Perhaps Windsor
Reggie's. They go the other way.
Oh, she scrubs up a while, doesn't she?
She's 22 there, so that's all right, isn't it? But yeah, so that's
the hair's looking better. Oh yeah, they used to call their mother the Duchess, didn't they? The Duchess, mate.
That was Jimmy Savile, wasn't it?
Oh, was it? Maybe they did as well. They were very similar people, weren't they?
Ronnie Kray called himself the Colonel. You know, that was his own the name he gave himself. But anyway, so that's
Reggie on the fried chicken.
We got Ronnie on the right of the picture there. You can see the head is wider.
That's because he used to dress up as Colonel Sanders, and someone used to dress up as Foghorn Leghorn used to shag him, didn't he?
He dressed up as Colonel Sanders and choked the chicken. Anyway, David Bailey was the official photographer, and celebrity guests included the likes of actress Diana Dawes. Let's go to the next picture, and we can then see another photo from the wedding day.
Bit blurry, that one.
We can play a game and see, okay, which twin is which? Who can recognise who's which on the right? Which one is that? Remember what I said?
That's Reggie on the right, isn't it?
That's right, a thinner head, and Ronnie has more of a round
more
head.
gaunt, isn't he?
So there you go. So you learn something every day there. Go to the next picture, another wedding day picture. It's strange that it looks like both of them are marrying her.
Why can't they stand on one of them? Can't Ronnie stand on the left all the time like Ant and Dec?
I think Reggie's on the left in these pictures, but as you can see, the head profile is quite obvious there. But anyway, there you go. So
you see, even though Ronnie and Reggie looked similar, they didn't need to stand apart. But because even though Ant and Dec look different, they both have the same personality.
Yeah, nobody actually knows who's Ant and who's Dec, do
they? in Bros, one of them did the singing and the other one played the drums, so you can tell the difference.
Yeah,
by what instrument they're playing.
Maybe Ronnie could have played the drums, or could have been always playing the drums.
No, Ronnie played the pink oboe, didn't he?
Yeah.
Was his instrument.
The bed flute.
Yeah.
The bed flute.
Anyway.
How about the rusty trombone?
Anyway.
Oh no, let's not talk about that.
So yeah, that's the chocolate starfish.
Yeah.
Rusty sherry splash. But anyway, right then. So back to the amongst all this madness, as we just see, Reggie got married to his long-term girlfriend there. So anyway, on the 9th of March 1966, Ronnie and some of the firm were drinking in the Widow's Pub in Tap Street. Ronnie received a phone call telling him that one of his many enemies, George Cornell, was drinking in the nearby Blind Beggar Pub. So I think we know where we're going now. So let's have a look at the Blind Beggar Pub there. The next picture, we'll see the Blind Beggar in Whitechapel.
Man's Brewery.
Still standing to this day. So, yeah. George Cornell was a London criminal.
Can anybody name a Man's Beer? I don't think I've ever had a Man's Beer.
Man's Beer. It's something from the past. I think you had it in the 70s.
Right. So they just did like
double diamond.
Stuff, then they didn't.
Yeah, it's just one of those beers that's disappeared.
I've had many a man's beer. You just wait till they look the other way. You swipe them.
Mind sweeping. Do you remember mind sweeping? Mind sweeping when you were skin. They were the days.
Yeah, when you were a student. Yeah.
Ronnie liked a man's beer. Liked a man anyway. So George Cornell was a London criminal who was a member of the
still get Man's today. Wychwood,
south of the river.
Wychwood Brewery brew Man's Brown Ale.
Yeah, and it's a nice drop. Okay, then so Cornell was a member of the Richardsons gang south of the river. In his early days, Cornell was involved with the Krays, but changed sides around 1964. He was known as a loyal enforcer who was good with his fists. Was good at fisting. That appealed to Ronnie. So he had run-ins with the Krays over the years, especially with Ronnie. On one occasion, Cornell and Ronnie Kray had a punch-up in the Brown Bear public house. Cornell knocked Kray unconscious. So they weren't the hardest men in London. They would get a kick in sometimes. On another occasion, Cornell called Kray a fat puff. But that was true, though. He was right. He was accurate with that statement.
Yeah, he weren't wrong, was he?
Oh, he was a fat puff.
Yeah.
Anyway, back in the Blind Beggar, on the night in question, Ronnie Kray knew where Cornell was drinking and wanted to teach him a lesson. He set off with his driver, Scotch John Dixon, who was Scottish, and his right-hand man and bum chum, Ian Barry. Tooled up with guns, jumped in their Mark I Ford Cortina, and set off to the Blind Beggar. So, trouble's coming.
Ooh.
The killer awoke before dawn. He put his boots on. He took a face from the ancient gallery, and he walked on down the hall. Upon arrival at the pub, Cornell saw Kray and said sardonically, "Well, look who's here." Kray said nothing and walked towards Cornell and pulled out a 9mm Luger.
Oh, the irony of this is, in the Krays movie, it was played by that puff, though, weren't it? What's his name? Stephen something.
Ronnie Kray.
Anyway, the actor that played him in the Krays movie with the Spandau Ballet twins, it was that puffer, weren't it? His name's Stephen something, isn't it?
So the gay one was played by the gay member of Spandau Ballet. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm talking about the guy who played George Cornell in the film.
Oh, the homophobic guy.
Yeah, he was actually played by Puffter.
Yeah.
What was his name? Hold on, I just got to have a look at the
Theology.
Stephen Burkhoff. Stephen Burkhoff played George Cornell, and he's like a massive Puffter, isn't he?
He had a really short scene, but it was really memorable.
Yeah. Then he called him a puffer as he comes in the pub, so I was like, ooh, catty.
Anyway, so that's what was going on. But the stage we're at now, Kray has a 9mm Luger pointing at Cornell's head, and Cornell doesn't think he's got the guts to do it. Ronnie calmly shot Cornell in the forehead, then left the pub. The bullet passed
Dominic
head.
Corrigan's, Ronnie likes a good head with his mans, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does like a good head. Yeah. So, bullet passed through Cornell's head before he fell to the floor to his death. A number of witnesses saw the murder.
What, he died from falling to the floor?
Well, he died from, it was all part of the process. Go to the next picture. Let's look at the murder scene and see what mess. Mess there was in the pub that night.
Everywhere.
There we go.
What are you going to do? Shoot me? Says Shotman. By Ray says in the chat.
That is Cornell's brains on the floor of the blind beggar.
The bits that look like popcorn, I guess they're the brains.
No, he was eating popcorn at the time and dropped it.
Is there a couple of eyeballs I see in there?
There could be. Go to the next picture. We can actually look at Cornell on his deathbed with the injury. Go to the next picture there. We'll just see what.
Fucking hell, state of his head.
Quite a quick, clean bullet through the head. A quick job.
Yeah. They made a right mess of his scalp, though, didn't they?
Yeah. There he is.
1 inch. So that's a good size entry wound, isn't it? What's that, like ½ inch?
Ronnie liked a good size entry.
Yeah.
Go to the next picture. We can actually look at the blind beggar on the night in question after the incident and with the police.
Well, if their police had been there at the time, there wouldn't have been a shooting, would there?
Yeah, well, they came afterwards, so.
Bloody useless.
Yeah, the police these days would be too busy.
Is if the police are so good at their job, why do they always need someone to help them with their inquiries?
Have a rainbow flag on your car or whatever it is they do.
And why haven't they got their high vis on?
I stand with George Cornell. That's what they're doing, aren't they?
So anyway, George was a wrong un, and he was mixed up in this world.
He was a homophobe, which is why he deserved to die. You can't condone homophobia, can you?
No, it's not acceptable.
No.
Can't even get a Twitter account if you're a homophobe these days.
Exactly, yeah. Anyway, okay then, so...
like Brucey says, too, right? He says, good thing they banned guns and nothing like this happens anymore, especially in London.
It's all knife crime now, but anyway. So anyway, the murder had been done, and a lot of people knew that Ronnie did it. As time went on, it began to look like Ronnie had got away with murder. Brothers seemed to be getting up to no good, then getting away with it. They were feeling invincible. This frame of mind, combined with Ronnie's mental issues, encouraged them to step it up a gear and take more risks. So, they were doing crime, as we saw in the video. They got away with menacing.
Yeah, but they did love their dear old mum, didn't they?
They loved their mum, and now Ronnie has killed someone. So, stepping it up a notch. Let's go over to Dom. He'll tell us about the Krays' next bit of bad work. Go for it.
Well, in 1966, Ronnie had a brainwave. He realised he loved his mum. But also, he recalled being in prison in the 50s when he befriended a nutcase called Frank Mitchell. Mitchell was built like a brick shithouse, and his... Yep. It's all connected.
Yeah.
It's the Cockneyverse.
The Cockneyverse.
So yeah. Anyway, where was I? He was Mitchell was built by like a brick shit house, and his physical side made up for his lack of brain cells. He had spent years going from psychiatric hospital to prison for various crimes. He had a mental age of about 13 and was nicknamed the Mad Axeman, though he hadn't actually killed anyone. We can see a picture of Mitchell. Yeah.
It looks like a lounge singer. Oh god, and that's such a 50s thing to do, isn't it? Put your hand on your hips like that. It's like, I'm so glad men don't do that anymore.
He looks like what's his name?
He looks like he's about to burst into song. He looks a bit like George Lincoln Rockwell, to be honest.
Finds it funny that he's been arrested.
Yeah, he looks like he's about to burst into song, doesn't he? The hills are alive, doesn't he?
And if you remember on the Fred West program we did, similar. He was in custody, being led around by handcuffs. He had a big smile on his face, you know.
Yeah.
What's going on with these people?
He looks to me like the guy who played Ash from Evil Dead, as he looks now.
Oh, Bruce Campbell. The bloke with
Bruce Campbell, that's the one.
Dominic thinks the bloke with the glasses is checking his ass out.
Blatantly rubbing his crotch there. That's not on his hip.
Measuring himself, looking at the big man.
Anyway, I mean, obviously he's finding it amusing to be arrested in that photo.
Well, he's not the full ticket, is he? So he probably didn't really realise what he's doing.
It's a right good laugh.
Yeah.
That is.
Until 1958, when he was sentenced to life imprisonment for robbery with violence. In 1966, he found himself in Dartmoor prison, which would sometimes let prisoners out on the moor in supervised work parties to fix fences and shit like that. And Ronnie planned to help Mitchell escape from Dartmoor during one of these work outings in the moor. A car would be laid out for Mitchell, and he would leg it from the work party and get driven away by Krays' men. And Mitchell was working when he asked supervising guards if he could go and feed some nearby Dartmoor ponies. His request was granted, and he legged it to a nearby waiting car that Ronnie had organised.
Ronnie was a bit of a fucking liability, really, weren't he?
He'd do anything, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
A man of Mitchell's size would have been useful to the Krays, and they planned to use him as an enforcer. He was taken to a flat in London.
As a battering ram, couldn't they? Just like four people grab an arm and a leg and just like bang doors down with him.
He was a man mountain, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Well, he was taken to a flat in London and kept there while the two Ronnies decided what to do with him. And he soon became a problem for them, owing to his physical strength and short temper. He was difficult to control. He was not willing to give himself up and return to prison, and was not allowed to leave the flat in case he was recognised. The Krays feared to release him or turn him in would implicate them in his escape. So he was getting pissed off with the twins. They calmed him down for a short time by providing him with some female company. They brought a nightclub hostess called Liza Prescott to the flat so that Mitchell could have sex with her.
Is that John Prescott's dad then?
It must be.
It all makes sense now. But with him being mentally slow, he fell in love with the woman, and this made things worse. The Krays now had a problem. They couldn't send Mitchell back to prison, as that would involve them. The only answer was to dispose of him.
So he fell in love with a prostitute then?
Yeah.
Had they never seen the? Is this the bit where they were done? What they could have done is like in the film is where they're at the local cinema watching Of Mice and Men, and it slowly dawns on them what they got to do.
It reminds me of wasn't that a song by Soul Asylum? I fell in love with the hooker. She laughed in my face. Anyway, so yeah, that's basically this guy. So on the 24th of December 1966, Mitchell was led into the back of a van by a Krays associate, Albert Donahue. I think that's how you say it. He thought he was being taken to a safe house in the countryside.
We're taking you to the farm, Lenny. That's what they said to us. We're going to take you to the farm, Lenny. You can have a run around.
Anyway, waiting in the van were several tooled-up men, including gangster Freddie Foreman. The doors of the van were closed and the engine started. The men then opened fire on Mitchell, sending him to his grave in a bloody mess.
Well, there must have been bullets coming out the side of the van. Seems a bit stupid to me, shooting a bloke in a van. Not only would they be fucking deafened, but there'd be bullets coming out the side of the van. They'd be driving around in a van full of fucking bullet holes.
At this stage, the Krays didn't care, though. This is the thing.
Yeah,
murdering people in public. This is didn't matter to them.
Well, I think the state's willing to turn a blind eye to stuff like what the Krays were doing. But I think when the bodies start piling up is when they put a stop to it.
Well, when it becomes public.
Yeah, when you start making them, when they start looking bad, that's when they sort you out, isn't it?
Then you bribe the policeman.
Yeah,
got friends in high places.
But I can't believe there was no collateral damage from ricochets.
Yeah,
because apparently there was like 12 shots fired before Mitchell died.
Jesus,
his body was bound with chicken wire.
Like Brucey Kibbett says, they broke a bloke out of prison just to give him a prostitute that shoots him. What a fucking waste of time. Well, they did love their dear old mum, though.
Yep, they loved their mum, but the
guy had mental problems. The guy had mental problems, and they did that. So I know they loved their mum, but this is.
They love their mums, but giant retards, not so much.
Yeah.
But they gave him a respectful burial. They bound him in chicken wire and weighed it down and dumped him in the English Channel.
Oh, lovely.
And in April 1967, Reggie and his wife Frances celebrated their second wedding anniversary. It wasn't a happy occasion. Frances had enough of being married to Reg, all he'd become involved in. It would quickly become a very unhappy marriage. On the 7th of June 1967, Francis committed suicide by taking an overdose. This pushed Reggie over the edge, and he would become as psychopathic as his brother.
Yeah, so wife killed herself. Yeah. So a nasty business, and obviously, sometimes marriages fail and couples split up.
Well, that felt pretty hard. That one did, didn't it?
Obviously, Frances couldn't find another partner, could she? Because if Reggie found out, then
he killed him.
He'd cut his dick off. So there you go. But anyway, all right then. So during the 60s, the Krays had a business manager called Leslie Payne. He was a con man, but helped the Krays build their empire. He disapproved of the violence that the twins used to get their way, but continued to work with them. He fell out with the Krays in 1966, which is bad news for them, as he had much knowledge of their dodgy dealings. To put a stop to a potential disaster, Ronnie Kray employed the services of East End villain Jack McVitie and gave Jack £500 to kill Payne. So
did he go on to form the biscuit company?
He could have done. We'll get on to that. It's his entrepreneurial activities.
Yeah.
So anyway, the Krays had employed McVitie to kill their former business manager, which makes sense, really. Jack went to Payne's house to shoot him, but Payne wasn't in, so the murder did not take place. Instead of giving back Ronnie the 500 quid, Jack spent it on drink and drugs. This pissed off the Krays, and it was a bad idea for Jack to get on their wrong side. Let's have a look at McVitie in the next picture. Let's have a look at a mugshot of the person we're dealing with.
Would you buy
here.
biscuits off that man?
It would, yeah. They're probably quite tasty. There he is. Wore a hat because obviously he wasn't actually that old, but he was becoming a slaphead, so... and to hide his baldness. So, Jack McVitie, more commonly known as Jack the Hat, because he wore a hat, was a small-time crook from Battersea in London. He was a drug trafficker in the 60s and had been an associate of the Krays, though he was not a full-time member of the firm. He would regularly commit crimes on their behalf.
Was it a bit like Robbie Williams and Take That, where like sometimes he sings with them and sometimes he don't?
I think he was more of a Jason Orange type character. He used to spit on his head, and that's where he lost his hair.
Again, target demographic. We're just really hitting it with these jokes, aren't we? The 18 to 24s will be all over this one, won't they?
Yeah, the kids like to Take That, don't they? Take That, the Olympic.
Yeah.
No, we're going to get a wider audience coming up. I can see it.
Yeah.
That's the demographic this channel needs. They need to be unbrainwashed.
Yeah.
Anyway, Jack's scruffy appearance, his dependence on drugs, and his heavy drinking habit made him untrustworthy to the twins. And if they gave him a job to do, he would often send another member of the firm to follow him to ensure that he did it properly. By 1967,
it's quite an inefficient organisation. I've got to say that there's no efficiency in the Krays, is there? Because you know they didn't do a cost benefit analysis of killing that fucking big geezer, or even breaking him out of prison in the first place. And again, here you've got two mobsters doing one mobster's work.
Yeah, but they loved their mum, and that's the main thing.
Yeah, they did love their mum.
By 1967, McVitie
and they didn't hurt nobody what didn't deserve it.
Yeah, they didn't, and they loved their mum. So McVitie had become a loud-mouthed drunk, not only dealing in drugs but taking drugs as well. He was getting arrogant and abusive, threatening the twins and causing trouble to many of their friends. So it's not doing the. This isn't the best thing to do for Jack. Let's look at the next picture of Jack. He's got his hat on this time. Let's have a look at this.
Sober as a judge there, isn't he?
Yeah. He came out at 8 o'clock in the morning there.
That's his Instagram fuckboy face.
His eyes have completely gone, haven't they? So McVitie got into the habit of causing trouble in clubs and tried to shoot someone in the Regency. On one occasion in the club, he stabbed someone and wiped the knife on a woman's dress, so just to clean it off. One evening, he was refused entry to the Regency for being too drunk. He came back later and threatened to shoot the owners, who were paying protection money to the Krays. Ronnie and Reggie said they would sort it out. So word was getting out that Jack was a pain in the arse, and Ronnie and Reggie were now going to sort this business out. They warned McVitie on numerous occasions, but he would not listen. With McVitie failing to kill Leslie Payne and would not pay back the 500 quid, it was the last straw. McVitie had to go. Let's have a look then. So, heating up now. Ready for the peak. On the 29th of October 1967, new firm associates Tony and Chris Lambriani from Birmingham were drinking in the Regency Club when firm member Ronnie Hart and Jack the Hat.
Chris Lambriani used to have a computer stall on Milton Keynes Market.
I just know he's a fat cunt.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Ronnie and Jack joined the Lambriani brothers for a few drinks in the Regency. Word was that there was a party that night at 97 Evering Road, being hosted by blonde Carol, who was a woman called Carol.
Was she blonde?
Who was blonde? She was blonde, yeah. So,
I mean, these nicknames are brilliant, aren't they?
Jack the Hat, and so on. Scotch Jack was from Scotland. There's going to be plenty of women and drink at the party, and everyone was invited. Upon arriving at the party, Jack burst into the room shouting, "Where's the birds and booze?" There were no birds and booze at the party, just Ronnie, Reggie, and a few members of the
Lizard says
firm.
it's hard to take someone seriously with the name McVitie. It's like being called Kellogg.
Yeah. Ronnie came up to McVitie, gave him a verbal abuse, and smashed a glass in his face. Reggie then pulled out a gun, held it against McVitie's head, and pulled the trigger. Yeah. East End smash.
Splat smash.
Anyway, so Ronnie's got the gun at Jack's head. You're on the trigger, and he pulled the trigger. The gun jammed. McVitie fought back and was getting the better of the twins. So they weren't that hard after all. But several members of the firm...
What a load of crap.
Yeah, exactly. We needed several members of the firm to restrain Jack, and then once they had him pinned down, they handed Reggie a large knife. So Reggie, still getting over the death of his wife, suicide. He's got Ronnie egging him on, and he's got a knife.
Do you think is an interesting thing? Because didn't they play it out in the movie, like I'm going back to the Spandau Ballet movie. Didn't they in the movie make out that Ronnie made him kill Jack McVitie? Do you think that's possibly Ronnie wanted?
Ronnie egged him on.
Yeah. Do you think it's possible that up to this point Reggie hadn't killed anyone, therefore he probably wouldn't do that much time, so he kind of wanted him to go down with him?
Yeah, obviously, and they were so together. They were so one unit. Whatever one did, the other would follow. So it was basically a case of Ronnie now would say to Reggie, "I've done mine," meaning Cornell. Now you do yours, which was Jack. Even though they did kill other people, obviously they killed Mitchell. They didn't kill Mitchell themselves. They got someone else to do it, and I think this is where they tripped up as gangsters. If you're going to kill someone, get someone else to do it. Don't do it yourself. That's a mistake they made. But anyway,
exactly. Rookie.
So
mistakes.
Anyway.
Well,
do you think in some ways the Richardsons were quite happy about the Krays, because the Krays were getting all the newspaper inches, and the Krays were drawing down all the police interference, weren't they? Which obviously I should think it eased that pressure on the Richardson gang, didn't it?
It was stupid for them to be so public, but
yeah.
Look, the Krays were mixing business with pleasure, because they like the kind of the glamour, and they like the violence, and that was pleasure for them, not business, and they should have left the violence to other people. So, they were too mixed up in it.
Exactly.
Too mixed up in it to make it work.
Rubber Dinghy Rapids has said, "Only just seen this, was live. I wanted to catch it because I was really interested to find out what the Krays relationship was like with their mum. Probably missed that by now. I suppose I'll never know."
All right, yeah, I'll answer that. The Krays loved their mum. They loved their mum.
Oh, they loved their mum, didn't they?
Yeah.
Are you going to talk about the Fred Dinage biography?
Good, but
because there's some guy. We'll do that later. You can get crack on it, and I'll stick it in at the end.
Just so if to clear it up, if anyone wants to know if the Krays loved their mum, did love their mum.
They did.
In fact, you've got some.
They loved their mum.
We've got some merch for your channel here, like get T-shirts with
the Krays love their mum,
didn't they?
They loved it. They loved it. Anyway, so all right, we'll get back to this though. So basically, the firm have Jack on the floor, holding him down. He can't move. Reggie has a carving knife in his
Interdimensional
hand.
Lizards has switched it up a bit. But did she love them? You never knew that, did you?
No, I can't answer that. I'm not an authority on whether she loved them, but I can say that they did love her. So anyway, Reggie has the knife. Reggie goes into a violent rage, stabbing McVitie repeatedly in the face, neck, chest, and stomach. So having a good go. Jack lay dead in a pool of blood. The twins fled the scene, and the rest of the firm cleaned up and disposed of the dead body. Again, murder had been carried out in front of a number of witnesses. So they're treading on thin ice here. 2 murders now in broad daylight.
I honestly believe the Krays were they were believers in their own hype, weren't they? I think that was their problem.
Yeah, I think the problem was Ronnie. If it was just Reggie by himself, he'd probably have a successful business career. But unfortunately, didn't. Let's go over to Dom. But give us more information on the downfall of the Krays.
Okie then. Twins were out of control. Continual run-ins with the law, making enemies with everyone, and committing murders in public. There was only to be one outcome. On the 8th of May 1968, time was up for the Krays. Team of over 100 detectives, led by Leonard Nipper Reid, raided homes all over London. 21 men were arrested, including 3 Kray brothers. Their charges included demanding money with menaces.
But there's only 2.
Oh, no, you're forgetting Andrew Ridgely.
Have you been listening?
Craig Another one for the kids there. You know, this is 18 to 24. We've got it. We've got it on this one, lads.
Yeah, but yeah.
I think Ray might have it right. One outcome: get a job with the Met.
So anyway, yeah. So their charges included demanding money with menaces, causing grievous bodily harm, and conspiracy to defraud. The twins were charged with the murders of Cornell and Jack the Hat. And
there they are. They're waiting
trial.
Them
during their trial. They had a lot of cups of tea and everything.
You from the
that one we've got up. Yeah.
Ronnie
drank Chris Lambrian. Didn't most of them squeal on the Krays, didn't they, to get less time?
Some of them squealed, but most of them kept stum and got dragged down with the Krays.
So yeah, the trial was held at the Old Bailey, January 1969. Lasted for 6 weeks. It was the most expensive trial in British history, and it paid off. And yeah, and this picture we've got up now is as an artist impression of Kray firm.
As George says, snitches get reduced sentences.
That looks like something out of a Watchman comic.
It's like the worst superhero team ever. Is that bloke's name Ronald Bender? Hello, UA Bender. Oh dear. Anyway, the trial.
Yeah,
trial. Let's go.
So they were found guilty, and it was the end for the Krays. Charges involved were Ronnie Kray got guilty of murder of Cornell and Jack the Hat, sentenced to life to serve at least 30 years. Reggie Kray, same thing. Charlie Kray, guilty of being accessory to murder of Jack the Hat, sentenced to 10 years.
Guilty of being third brother.
But I'm the other one. No one remembers me. Why do you do?
Everybody was like, shit, nobody normally remembers me. They did for the trial. Fuck.
Anyway, and basically all the other people got sentences.
Did Charlie love his mum? We never found out whether Charlie loved his mum, did we?
The twins loved their mum, and we can definitely say that. I'm not sure Charlie did that.
Yeah, we don't know, do we?
Have to check
well, I've heard next year there's going to be a film about Charlie Kray, and he's going to be portrayed by a disabled black woman.
Is it just going to be Charlie Krays at home reading the paper while all the Kray stuff's going on? Do you know what your brothers have done this time? Is that the Charlie Kray story?
Let's get.
Dominic in the chat is saying that Freddie Foreman looks like Mel Smith. Why have they done Freddie Foreman's head so big?
The guy second in from the right, looks like Alan Partridge.
That's Anthony Lambriano.
The fourth in from the right looks a bit like the.
That's Nigel Farage, isn't it? Nigel Farage is in there, isn't he? Fifth, the one in the Charlie Cray looks like Nigel Farage in that picture.
I was saying that the one fourth in looks like Neil deGrasse Tyson in that meme.
Yeah.
Although obviously different colour.
The one on the far left looks like Ronnie Kray. Oh, it is him. All right.
Was it that Cornelius, whatever his name is? He looks like Kevin Spacey in that picture.
Anyway, we can actually see Ronnie Kray in the next picture. It was a good segue. Thanks, Ian.
That fucking face in the middle. What is that?
In the middle.
Yeah.
What? Oh, that. Yeah. In the middle, that looked like Joe Biden.
That's his sex offender face in the middle.
That's his sex offender. That's his nonsense face.
Yeah, that's.
Can't help but feel that's a face that you would see in Barnet or Finsbury.
That's like, no, I've never. That looks like the kind of face Pee Wee Herman would have pulled.
Anyway, all right, then. So we're
that's a Betty the cat's done a whoopsie face. That is, isn't it?
Yeah. So do you want to come and see some puppies?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, all right, then. So basically, yeah. Go on, Tom.
Sorry, yeah. Well, anyway, if we'll get back to the story. The press had a field day. We can see a picture of the press celebrating the Krays next. If you go to the next picture,
is that and Charlie the second picture on there? The Kray twins guilty of murder. Is that Reggie and Ronnie and Charlie?
Not sure, but they're all bare chested, aren't they? All three of them.
Yeah.
That looks like a kind of, I don't know, transgender person on the right there.
A pink-hot chick boy. Anyway, yeah. So the Krays have been they've been sent down now. So so just conclude. Ronnie didn't cope very well with the prison system and finished up in the nut house Broadmoor. Was housed with the likes of Yorkshire Ripper Peter Sutcliffe. Sutcliffe and Kray did end up having a punch-up on the ward. The much younger Sutcliffe got the better of the altercation because obviously Ronnie was an old man. He couldn't look after himself like he used to. This apparently prompted Reggie to employ Broadmoor patient to blind the Ripper, which he did with a pen. And so apparently the person who blinded Sutcliffe in one eye was put up to that by Reggie Kray. In 1982, Ronnie and Reggie were briefly allowed out of prison to attend their mother's funeral, and they loved their mother. So let's have a look at a news report. So, Hemi, if you could just play the third clip there, we can actually have a look at a news report.
Okay.
Right. So this is Ronnie and Reggie in their older years. At their mum's funeral, and they loved their mum.
This was never going to be just a quiet family funeral. Nearly 500 friends, neighbours and the simply curious turned out to say goodbye to Violet Kray.
Duck-ups.
Some of her family have been described
Violent
as the most evil villains London has ever known.
Violent Kray.
72-year-old Vi, they were and remained sons who needed love and affection.
Who sent a no?
The Kray twins Ronnie and Reggie, now serving life for vicious gangland murders, my lovely boys, and faithfully visited them all over the country.
She did love her boys.
In the shadow of the council flats that have been the family home for 15 years, their floral tributes, roses on chrysanthemums, rested among 300 other wreaths, including one display of red and yellow carnations and lilies.
I don't understand why they're sending random letters.
Parkhurst. There were more flowers from film stars, underworld figures, and an ex-great train robber or two.
Did the ex-great send train robbers on the ex?
Remembered her with respect.
There's a lot of people out there that also love their mums.
How are you an ex-great train robber? What, you didn't? You changed your mind about whether you did it or not?
Energy, and I was so surprised it happened. More energy in her than lots of these youngsters used to really, walk quickly, run along the street. She was and she
never met her before.
She did love her boys.
And my grandchildren, and she didn't even know him. She was a fantastic woman.
Half an hour late, the cortege wound its way through the East End the Krays knew so well 13 years ago, to the little Chingford Old Church, now swamped by this unaccustomed congregation and publicity. Hidden inside, Ronnie and Reggie waited, released for a day but handcuffed to their minders, their first real taste of the outside world for 13 years. After a 30-minute service, Ronnie and Reggie were allowed to hug their relatives and close friends for a matter of seconds. Then they filed out of the church, leaving the twins under tight security. 10 tense minutes later, as the security cordon tightened around the little Chingford church, out of a back door came a diminutive Reggie Kray, dwarfed by his guards.
Look at the fucking size of that geezer. Jesus Christ, he's a unit, isn't he?
Twin brother Ronnie. The short walk down the side of the church was their final breath of fresh air.
I didn't know you could stack shit that high.
They weren't allowed to go to the graveside, but were whisked back to their separate prisons. Ronnie to Broadmoor, Reggie to Parkhurst.
Is that Twinkford?
An even bigger crowd rushed to the graveside service for Vi, next to where Reggie's wife Frances is buried. Among the famous faces was Diana Dawes. Close family rubbed shoulders with the merely nosy, and the surrounding graves were trampled underfoot. For elder brother Charlie Kray, it had been an emotional time.
All I'd like to say as well that, for the people, their kindness, I can't believe. I just can't believe it. It amazes me with the amount of Reeves and the way people behaved. In fact, everybody.
Don't you find it strange that in spite of your family's reputation, you get all this support?
Well, I've got an answer for that, really, is that whatever they did,
they love their mum.
At the same time, one thing I keep insisting about is they've never harmed the public, you see, and they let people out.
They fucking killed 2 people, for God's sake, man!
More than the 2.
But the twins, they never do.
Is that Rod Hull?
Where's Emu?
If they let them out tomorrow...
Hemmy, I've done a bit of independent research into the Kray twins.
Yeah.
Did you know they loved their mum?
No, we've yet to answer the age-old question, did they love their mum?
They loved their mum, they did.
Yeah. Here we go. So that's a
Fortean Words exclusive.
Yeah, they love their mum.
VI. So yeah, pretty good. So that's their mum's funeral, and they were released from prison briefly to go to that. Anyway, Ronnie Kray was never released from prison and died in 1995, aged 61. Reggie didn't have the mental problems that his brother had, so he spent the rest of his life going from prison to prison. Stories of Reggie's time in prison said that he had become a born-again Christian, and after being straight and getting married in the 60s, Reggie was now into cock and was having sex with men. He received a warning from prison authorities not to approach younger inmates. So,
grim.
Yeah. On the 26th of August 2000, 66-year-old Reggie was freed from Wayland Prison. He had bladder cancer and had been released so that he could die. The 1st of October 2000, Reggie died. So he wasn't out. He was only out for a few months there before, and then he was on his deathbed.
Ray wins the comment of the night. Purple Reggie.
There's Reggie through the years from a child to an old man on his deathbed. A sad story. Basically, then
what did he say when he was on his deathbed? I didn't hurt no one what didn't deserve it, and I love me dear old mum.
I loves me mum. Anyway, the brother's older brother Charlie was released from prison in 1975. He was sent back to prison for 12 years in 1997 for conspiracy to smuggle cocaine. Oh, Charlie, smuggling Charlie.
He didn't smuggle no drugs what didn't deserve it, and he loved his dear old mum.
Yeah. He died in prison in April 2000. So more or less, all 3 Kray brothers died in prison. So crime doesn't pay, kids. Eh?
He died in Norwich, didn't he?
Yes.
Yeah. I think Charlie.
He was
here as well.
Charlie was in prison, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, but Ronnie wasn't really released, was he? He was just came out of prison, went to hospital, and a few months later,
well, it was just. I assume it's much like everywhere.
The townhouse hotel.
Pissing his pants, basically.
Yeah, they put Reggie up in the townhouse hotel, which isn't actually here anymore, but that's where he was. He was in one of the hotels in the city, and that's where he died.
As Dominic Corrigan says, you could always leave your front door open when the Krays are around.
Yeah. Anyway, we're more or less there. It's interesting to note, though, in their prison years, the brothers became world famous and made more money out of marketing their fame through TV, films, books, and merchandise than they did in their gangster years.
Well, I actually have an anecdote about books. Have you ever heard Fred Dinage did a documentary about when he did the Krays autobiography?
Yeah, I did know of that.
Yeah. There's some really great stories come out of that. The first one is like they dragged Fred Dinage in to speak to him, and they said, "Do you want to write our autobiography?" But Fred Dinage goes, "Yeah, but someone else owns the rights to it, don't they?" And then this bloke had a phone call, which he was given an offer that he couldn't refuse. So then Fred Dinage starts writing the book. Fred Dinage is like writing bits, starts writing the book, and he has like random shit happen. Like one of them is in the dentist having some dental work done, and there's the phone call comes through, and it's one of the Krays ringing him at the dentist. Going, "You are going to do us all right with this book, aren't you?" And then I think another time he's walking along the street just randomly, and this limo pulls up, and they tell him you are going to do a good job of this book, aren't you?
It makes you think, though, doesn't it? I think Fred Dinage was pretty much wasted on heart attack.
Howl. He used to do Howl too as well, didn't he? I lived in Bournemouth for a bit. I remember he used to do Meridian Tonight, didn't he?
Yeah. All right. Well, what we'll do, we'll end on a sad note. Let's just go to the next picture, and we can see Wingford Mount Cemetery in London. If anyone wants to go there, if they're in the area, you can actually see the graves of the twins. And there we go.
Is it Twinkford Cemetery?
Wingford. There's Ronnie and Reggie in the same grave, and then if you go to the next picture,
and Charlie.
In the next picture, you've got Charlie, Francis,
and Charlie's on top of his mum, then, is he?
No, that's Charlie. That's Charlie Senior. Charlie,
right.
The mother that we saw. He's in the back there next to the twins, and that's Francis Kray there, the bigger grave.
Yeah.
Of Reggie's wife, and there we go. That's the Krays.
Ooh. Oh, apparently he still
I feel jealous.
Apparently Fred Dinage still does Meridian Tonight. He's a trooper, isn't he, old Fred Dinage?
I've seen him recently on some local news channel.
Yeah, that'll be the one. Meridian Tonight, which is like south coast, isn't it?
I'm jealous of the Kray family because they were buried in the earth, and there's no space in the earth to be buried for anyone anymore.
Mm.
That's what I've taken away from it the most.
No, Spacey, Meridian is south coast. It's like Dorset way. Ironically, the Krays gave her a headstone saying peace. Right, so are we done with the Krays? Hello? Where is everyone?
Yes.
I was going to say, is that a rhetorical question?
Go away now.
Wait. Before we go, did they love their mum?
I think they loved their mum.
They loved their mum.
Oh, they're in the same